Hi, I'm Pastor Rick, the author of The Purpose Driven Life. And if you've ever felt like giving up on life, I'd like to talk to you for just a minute. A lot of studies have shown that almost everybody has felt suicidal at some low point in their life. You may be feeling that way right now, or you may know a friend or a family member or a coworker who feels that way, and you don't know what to do about it. Just over 2 years ago, my youngest son, Matthew, who struggled with mental illness his entire life since birth, took his own life. It was the worst day of my life. And I still grieve every day about the permanency of his decision to take his life. Now, let me talk first to those of you who may be considering suicide. Here are some things that you really need to consider. First, suicide is a permanent, irreversible attempt to solve a temporary problem. It is not a wise solution. The truth is, most people don't really want to end their lives. They just want to end the pain. And there's a big difference between those two. You don't have to die to end your pain. Now, I understand that when you feel totally overwhelmed by your pain and your problems or by situations that you can't see any way out of, that ending your life might appear to be the best solution. But it is not. It's like using a nuclear bomb to wipe out a nest of mosquitoes. It's irreversible, and it'll do far more damage than you possibly realize, and it will affect many, many other people besides yourself. There are a lot better ways to make the pain stop. Now, let me give you some simple first steps if you're being tempted to take your life. First, I want you to write down this phone number, 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-TALK. That's the national number, the lifeline for suicide prevention. It's the national lifeline for suicide prevention. Let me give it to you again, 1-800-273-TALK. Now, it's open 24/7, and there are people there who understand what you're feeling. They can help you walk through this deep valley that you're going through right now. And if you're feeling suicidal, I want you to call this number as soon as you finish watching this video, 1-800-273-TALK. Second thing, you need to realize that no emotion, whether good or bad, high or low, happy or sad, no emotion can last forever. Emotions are like waves. They come in on our lives and they crash, but then they dissipate and they go away. No emotion lasts forever. No matter what you're feeling right now, you're not going to feel it in an hour. And while the depression that you're feeling right now is intense, it cannot, I repeat, it cannot last forever. It's a wave that will go away because no emotion lasts. So you don't want to make a permanent choice based on a temporary feeling. Never make a major decision when you're depressed. Instead, share what you're feeling with another person so they can bear that pain with you. The Bible talks about this. In fact, the Bible commands us to bear one another's burdens. I'm supposed to help you, and you're supposed to help me when we're down. And there are people who would gladly do this if you'll just be open and honest and share how you're feeling. Don't carry it alone. Number 3, when you're feeling depressed, you need to realize you're not thinking straight. You can't think logically when you're depressed. Your mind gets confused. For instance, right now you might feel that the world or your family or your work would be far better off without you. Oh, they'd just be better off without me. Well, I'm here to tell you, you're dead wrong. It's just plain wrong. You are loved by God, and you are needed in this world, and He created you and made you for a purpose. I wrote an entire book about this subject called The Purpose Driven Life. It's now the most translated book in the world except for the Bible, and it's been the best-selling hardback in American history. Now, why is that? Because everybody has a fundamental need to know that your life matters, that your life has meaning, and that God has a plan and purpose for your life. And God's plan and purpose for your life is greater than the problem or the emotion you're feeling right now. If you haven't read Purpose Driven Life, I'd encourage you to read it and talk to some friends about it. And that leads me to the fourth thing. God never meant for you to handle all the problems and all the pain of your life on your own. We are wired for relationships. We are better together. The very first thing God said in the Bible, it's not good for man to be alone. We're meant to help each other out and to share our emotions with each other. You know, when you share a joy, that joy is doubled. And when you share a hurt or a pain, that pain is cut in half. You need to find one person that you can trust, and you need to tell them exactly how you're feeling. As I mentioned earlier, depression often comes in waves. And while this wave will eventually subside, you're not going to feel the way you're feeling right now. It is likely that another one will come again. Waves come in again. And that's why you need a safety net when the waves come. We call that a small group or somebody that you can call on and talk to. Never try to face suicidal feelings by yourself. You're not meant to handle them alone. Again, the feelings will subside, but it's very important that you first remove anything around you that would make it easy for you to take your life impulsively. Because people make decisions impulsively that have eternal consequences. Remove anything that would make it easy for you to take your life. And then, second, when you're feeling vulnerable, don't try to face it by yourself. If you want to write to me, you can write to rick@pastorrick.com. All of our Daily Hope ministry team will pray for you. We'll pray with you. We have people who can pray with you and pray for you. Write me, rick@pastorrick.com. Now, let me say a word to those of you who may have a friend or a coworker or a family member or a loved one who's struggling with suicidal thoughts. Let me give you some suggestions. First, if somebody around you talks about wanting to die, or more specifically, wanting to take their own life, take this very seriously. Do not treat it as a joke. Do not brush it off as an exaggeration or as a bid for attention or call them a drama queen. Better safe than sorry. Take it always seriously. Second, if you notice changes in the behavior of somebody that you care about, maybe they're just a little more moody than usual, or they don't laugh as much as they used to, or they're more subdued and more serious, or you just think something's not right. You're probably right. Something probably isn't right. You need to take the initiative to ask them, care enough, love them enough to ask them what's going on. Don't be afraid to approach them and ask them if you can help them with the way they are feeling. You might just say something like, I really care about you. And I've noticed that you just haven't seemed yourself lately. Is everything okay? Just ask something like that. Is everything okay? And if they say, no, I'm not okay, well, don't be afraid to ask if they've considered hurting themselves or ending their life. It's actually okay to use the word suicide. You could say, well, have you thought about hurting yourself? Have you thought about ending your life? Now, regardless of the response, yes or no, you need to tell them again how much you care about them and how much they matter to you. Now, if they say that they have been depressed, then you need to tell them, I will do everything I can to help you get through this difficult time. And if they're struggling with considering suicide, say, I will do everything I can to help you be safe, to help you make it through this time, to help you find a good doctor and a psychiatrist. I'll even go with you to help check you into a safe place like a hospital. I'll be glad to go with you. And if necessary, you might need to call 911, an emergency. It's much more important to save a life than to worry about what they think about you and you being offensive to them or whatever, taking risk that could make a fatal decision in a moment of deep pain. Like I said, suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. I know of one man who survived jumping off a bridge. He was trying to take his life. And later he said, because he did survive, he said, in that split second that as I was falling off that bridge, I had a moment of clarity. He said, I realized that everything in my life could be fixed or managed or resolved, except for the fact that I had just made an irreversible decision. Later, he was obviously grateful that he survived and had the opportunity to address those issues that had been causing him so much pain and depression. And he later joined a survivors of suicide group like we have here at Saddleback Church. And you can find them in any city, survivors of suicide. Friends, suicide is far more common than we realize. Every year, over 1 million people around the world take their lives. In fact, here in America, each year in the United States, over 40,000 people will take their lives. Now, let me put that in perspective. That's double the murder rate in America. Twice as many people take their own lives as are murdered. And among young adults, that's a very vulnerable group, ages 15 to 24, among young adults, suicide is the #1 killer of young adults in America. In this epidemic, we've got to remove the stigma of depression and other mental health issues. It's not a sin to be sick. Your illness is not your identity. And by the way, the Bible says there's only one unforgivable sin, and it isn't suicide. It's rejecting the grace that God has given to us through Jesus Christ. That is the only unforgivable sin. Suicide is preventable. It's preventable when we're aware of each other's pains, we care about each other's pains, and we help each other through our pain. So today, and all this week, I want to urge you to look around you for people in pain. Look beneath the masks of your friends. Look past the cliches that they write a text or tweet and see how people are really feeling. It's the Jesus way of treating people. And if you'd like additional help, I'd encourage you to go to Daily Hope. That's my website, Daily Hope, where you can find additional resources and you can get a free daily devotional. God bless you.